Hey, I'm Allison, and I want to tell you the story of how I stopped being lazy, lost 400 pounds, and found the man of my dreams. It all started when I was 16. I was so overweight that I couldn't go to high school anymore. Walking was just too exhausting for me. So instead, I stayed at home and ate food all day. My mom was the complete opposite of me, drop-dead gorgeous and in perfect shape. Her only flaw was that she couldn't say no to me. So whenever I told her to bring me food, she did it. I normally ate 3 Big Mac menus for breakfast, and then another 7 Big Mac menus over the rest of the day. That's why I gained 4 to 8 pounds per week. I hated myself so much, I was about to give up on life. But then something crazy happened. One of my old classmates contacted me on Facebook and we started chatting. But it was more than that. We were actually flirting. He said I looked gorgeous, and he'd love to meet up with me. Of course, I struggled to believe that a guy as handsome as him was interested in me. But I knew that some guys like big girls. So I went along and invited him over to my place. But when I opened the door to greet him, he wasn't alone. He had 2 friends with him and he was filming on his smartphone. I had no idea what was going on. But then he bursted out laughing and said to his smartphone, "Oh my God, you won't believe what just happened. Fat Allison really thought I wanted to go on a date with her. Ugh, does she really think she's in my league?" Fat Allison really thought I wanted to go on a date with her. Ugh, does she really think she's in my league? I immediately slammed the door and started crying. I weighed 600 pounds and I had never felt worse in my life. That's why I did something quite dramatic and dangerous. I locked myself into my bathroom and told my mom I wouldn't come out until I lost 200 pounds. So for the next few months, all I did was drink tap water and lay on the ground. I had a shower right next to me, but I was too fat to use it, so after 2 weeks, I smelled terrible. But for the first time in my life, I didn't give up. Even though my mom begged me to come out, she said it was too dangerous and I had to eat something. It took me 150 days inside the bathroom to achieve my goal of losing 200 pounds. But once it was over, I didn't just go back to eating Big Macs. I immediately went to a gym, and it was humiliating. While all those people were in such great shape, I was still weighing 400 pounds. But then a super handsome trainer came over to me and said, "Hey, I'm Ty. Are you new here?" Wow, I couldn't believe that this super handsome guy was talking to me. I said, "Yeah, I want to lose some weight." Then he told me to go on the treadmill for 30 minutes. Afterward, he came back to me and said, "Hey, I want to make sure that you will reach your goal and achieve your dream body. So if you ever need any help, just call me." Then he gave me his business card with his name and phone number on it. I know it sounds stupid, but I immediately had a huge crush on Ty. I knew he was out of my league. I know it sounds stupid, but I immediately had a huge crush on Ty. I knew he was out of my league, but what if I became thin? Would he be interested in me? Well, I needed to find it out, so I started going to that gym every single day. Everything was going well until I met my old classmate again, the one who had pretended to like me. When he saw me, he said, "Oh wow, you've lost some pounds, but why do you look even worse now?" And then he started laughing again. I know I shouldn't have cared about his words, but within seconds, he destroyed my whole self-confidence. And for the first time in more than a year, I bought a big bucket of ice cream and ate it within a few minutes. I felt like such a loser and decided to text my fitness trainer, Ty. I wrote, "It's me, Allison, from the gym. I'll give up. I'll just eat ice cream until I die of a heart attack." I immediately regretted my text to him, but after 5 minutes he responded, "Hey Allison, don't worry. Just give me your address and I'll come by at your home to support you. Everyone needs support sometimes." Wow. I gave him my address and he literally took a 2-hour drive through our city just to come by and support me. When I opened the door, he gave me a big hug and told me to not worry anymore. Then we spent 2 hours laughing and talking to each other. Knowing that Ty cared about me gave me the strength to continue my healthy diet of not eating more than 1,000 calories per day. And then it took me another 18 months to achieve my dream weight of 120 pounds. I was incredibly proud of myself. But I still had lots of excess skin from all the weight I'd lost. So I had to get skin removal surgery. Afterward, I looked amazing. I mean, I wasn't the most beautiful girl in the world, but after all my training, I had an amazing ass and an overall great shape. When I went to the gym the next day, they threw me a small party and everyone congratulated me. Of course, Ty also came up to me and told me how impressed he was by my transformation, but all I wanted to know was if he found me attractive or not. Well, he didn't ask me out on a date that day, but I kept waiting for many weeks. Finally, I had enough and did it myself. I asked him if he wanted to go watch a movie with me. When he said yes, I didn't know if he knew it was a date, but then during the movie, I asked him if he liked me, and he said yes. So I just kissed him, and now we're a couple. He's the first boyfriend I ever had, and I hope we'll stay together for the rest of our lives.
Expected that, so it was time for me and Amanda to launch part 2 of our revenge program. She would follow Amanda secretly and find some dirt on her, and she would catch it on camera. I helped her prep for the exam all week, while Amanda hung out with her as usual, acting completely normal. One evening, Amanda turned up at my house looking super excited. I got it. I caught her on camera. I watched the video of Katie sneaking into an empty classroom, and minutes later, a boy showed up. I recognized him as Katie's boyfriend's best friend, and then the two of them started making out. Seriously, this girl was just the worst. On the day of the math exam, just before it was about to start, Katie winked at me. Wished me luck. Not that I need it. I grinned as I got the math paper and started working on it. Oh boy, this was gonna be so much fun. As soon as it ended and we all went out, Katie came charging towards me like a mad bull. She grabbed me by the arm and dragged me to an empty classroom. What did you do? I didn't know a single answer on the exam paper. Are you crazy? You made me fail the final. I'm going to completely ruin you. Not if we ruin you first. We turned around to see Amanda walk in. What are you talking about, stupid? This is your fault too. You couldn't even steal the right exam. Oh, yes, I could. I just didn't. And this is what I'm talking about. And she thrust her phone in Katie's hands and played the video. Katie's eyes went wide in horror as she watched herself. Amanda quickly snatched the phone from her before she could smash it into a wall. Give my diary back, Katie, or this video is going to be making all the social media rounds in no time, and everyone will know you're a cheater. Katie screamed in frustration and took the diary out of her bag and threw it at me. Also, you just lost the only real friend you had. Being pretty or fashionable means nothing if you're a jerk on the inside. You're always going to end up alone. And with that, I put an arm through Amanda's and we walked out of the classroom. I decided I was done trying to be anyone but me. I joined the mathletes and actually won the competition for the school for the first time in years. And I'm friends with all the math nerds now. We're a pretty cool bunch. Oh, and on Valentine's Day, I wrote my lame love poem to Alex on a card and asked him out. We've been dating for 2
about how rich they are so they can make poor people feel inferior. I mean, have you ever noticed how it's mostly Russian billionaires who need to own several yachts and show off? Well, to make things worse, Sergey didn't call his sugar babes by name, but by numbers. He said, "Hey, number 3, go get me a drink." But there is another dark side of rich kids I haven't talked about yet. My classmate Sergey was mentally weak. When one of our teachers told him to stop being so lazy and finally start doing his homework, Sergey flew into a rage and threatened our teacher, saying he would call his daddy to get him murdered. That same day, I came to the conclusion that rich kids shouldn't be allowed to inherit their parents' money, because rich kids are the scum of the earth. At least Sergey got kicked off the school after that incident, and only a month later, I was told that he had driven under the influence one night and hit someone. The person wasn't seriously injured, but when the police came, Sergey tried to bribe them off. He allegedly offered the policeman $50,000. Sergey, who was born in Russia, doesn't understand that you can't drive over people here in the U.S. and get away with it. Even though I'm sure that it's possible in Russia, his motherland, the land of corrupt oligarchs that exploit their dumb citizens who still believe that their President Putin cares about them, when actually he just enriches his oligarch friends while most people are continuing to live in poverty. I started to hate rich kids more and more, but there was one problem. I am a girl, and us girls have a natural tendency to be attracted to high-status guys with lots of money. There was this guy Mason in the grade above me, and I really crushed on him. He was rich, handsome, and seemed super ambitious. He was a DJ in his free time and even had several songs with more than 1 million views on YouTube. I thought that he was the real deal, so I messaged him on Facebook and managed to get on a date with him. Oh, did I mention he was also jacked? I regularly hooked up with him, but then I found an injection in his room with some drug next to it called boldenone. I googled it, and it turns out that it was an anabolic steroid. So he wasn't jacked because he was disciplined and regularly hit the gym. No, he took the shortcut and just injected poison into his body. Was he really that desperate to impress other people that he was willing to destroy his own health? Well, I also started wondering why I never saw him working on his laptop to produce new songs. I asked him about it, and he said, "Oh, I'm working with this other guy who does most of the technical work. I focus more on being on stage and rocking the club while he does the rest." Wow, this guy who had tens of thousands of fans around the world and groupies every weekend on his concerts was basically just another spoiled little rich brat who had everything in life given to him. I told him, "Aren't you embarrassed to not work hard like other artists?" And he responded, "What are you talking about? I'm doing what everyone else does. Do you really think Justin Bieber produces his own music or writes his own lyrics? All he does is go on stage and sing. It's the easiest job in the world, and I want to do it too. Groupies, money, and fame. That's all I need to be happy." Well, he kinda had a point, but I also knew that this was not the kind of person I wanted to be in a relationship with. I mean, if I married this guy and I would get sick or something, then I knew I couldn't rely on him because he had never actually done anything hard in his life. And that's the problem with rich kids. They are weak. For example, many of the girls in my school did horse riding as a sport. Of course, they bragged about how good they are and how many medals they won, but really, it's mostly about who bought the best and most expensive horse. Now, don't get me wrong, there are also some great rich kids. Like Mike. He was the best student in class and didn't care about being popular. When we took a class trip to North Dakota and we were boarding a plane, my other classmate Jack didn't want to wait in line, so he put his black sunglasses on and pretended to be blind to go to the line for handicapped and old people. That's when Mike had enough and told the stewardess that Jack was only pretending to be blind and should wait in line with the others. Jack responded, "Whoa, dude, this was just a test. Of course I wouldn't actually do this." "You just did it, so stop lying, you scumbag." This was the incident that inspired me to stop trying to be popular. I sold my designer clothes on eBay, gave the money I got back to my stepdad, and started wearing H&M again. I also went to Mike and asked why he was so different from the other kids, and he said, "Oh, it's because my dad said he'll give away all his money to charity. I get zero, nothing. So unless I get my life together, I'm in big trouble. But my parents gave me what's most important for a child, and that's love and attention. And don't get me wrong, I'm still super privileged. I was born in America, and I'm going to a private school." To be honest, I have enormous respect for wealthy people like Bill Gates, who will donate most of their money to charity instead of spoiling their dumb children, because the last thing this earth needs is another useless rich kid. You see, if a rich kid buys a Ferrari that took thousands of hours to build, then that's thousands of hours of human labor wasted that could have been spent on something like helping the poor or developing a new vaccine. Now, if you earned the money yourself, go ahead and buy whatever you want. Maybe you deserve it. Well, Mike and I are friends now. When I asked him if he wanted to do homework with me, he responded, "What? You're doing your own homework?" "Huh? What do you mean?" "Well, everyone else here has tutors to do it for them. That's why I was surprised."